Today I'm going to teach you something that is guaranteed to make you more productive and generate more revenue. In fact, I'll bet you an old-fashioned glazed donut that you will be more productive, more efficient, and on your way to generating more revenue within the next 30 days. Hi folks, welcome to MoPro University. I'm Sean Allen. You can find me at moprouniversity.com, where we help financialpreneurs build an ideal business to help support their ideal lifestyle. Today we're talking about something that is so powerful, so important to your business, and yet so simple to set up. You're going to regret not having this years ago. It's called the 15-minute call. And by the way, in this video, I'm not only going to cover why the 15-minute call is important, I'm going to show you how it fits into the client service system, but I'm also going to give you a step-by-step tutorial on how to set this up for yourself. And like I said, you can do it today in less than 10 minutes. Before I talk about the 15-minute call, let's look at how it fits into the client service system. If you haven't already done so, you'll want to watch the client service system overview video, because that's going to give you the best look at how this 15-minute call fits into your overall systems. So you can see that the first step of the engagement phase is the 15-minute call. The 15-minute call is an appointment program where prospects and clients can self-schedule a 15-minute phone appointment from your website. There are 5 primary benefits to the 15-minute call. Number 1, it's going to improve your efficiency. 2, it will increase your productivity. 3, it will add structure to your client interactions, which actually you're going to appreciate because it can reduce the stress of what some of those interactions can be like. You'll know ahead of time what the client's actual needs are, and you'll be able to be more prepared. Number 4, it gives you more control of the client experience, but it also gives you more control of the outcome of that client experience. You're able to control the process from the very first introduction all the way through until your case is funded. And number 5, it's going to present more opportunities to meet with ideal prospects, and you'll understand what I mean here in just a minute. So let me give you a scenario where all 5 of these benefits can be at work. And it's something that you may not do exactly like this, but you can at least understand the benefits of it and implement this into your own marketing system. So Money Organizer Pro members will know that our phases work in 3 different systems. And the first phase is the prospecting phase. And there are really only 2 types of prospecting or 2 types of marketing that I recommend: the Olympic Referral Partner System and the Seminar System. So in the example I'm going to give you now, I'm talking about the Seminar System. And I'm going to show you how the 15-minute call works in conjunction with that Seminar System. So meet Jim. Jim conducts free educational seminars for employees of companies in his community. In each seminar, Jim would like to collect the contact information from everyone in attendance, so he passes out a survey card, which also includes a spot for people to request a free consultation. At one recent seminar to about 30 employees of a local technology company, Jim received back 6 survey cards, and of those 6, 1 person requested a free consultation. Jim contacted the person over the phone, where he spent about 20 minutes getting to know the prospective client before setting up an appointment for them to come into his office and meet him face-to-face. Before the face-to-face meeting, Jim spent about 30 minutes doing some research on who the person was, their role at the company, etc. And that led him to doing a little more research on possible solutions to what he thought the prospective client might be interested in, so that he could be most prepared for their meeting. During the 90-minute free consultation, Jim gathered a lot of information. He had a very good visit with what he thought would be a new client. After his new prospective client left, Jim began doing more research and prepared a proposal, about another 90 minutes of time. In his second meeting with the same prospective client, Jim spent just over an hour presenting his proposal and answering questions for this new prospective client. The next step? Well, that was for the client to decide on which options in Jim's proposal they actually wanted to execute. "Let me go home and think about it," they said. But for some reason, after this meeting, Jim had a hard time getting in touch with this prospective client. Finally, nearly 2 weeks after their proposal meeting, Jim was finally able to track the prospective client down at their job. The prospective client explained how much they appreciated Jim's time and the free consultation, but after showing his proposal to another advisor, they decided to go with the other advisor, who happened to be a brother-in-law of the prospect. Yes, there's sarcasm in my voice. Why? Because this happened to me. I'm sure I'm not the only one that this has happened to. But let me show you what I have now so that this doesn't happen anymore. First, let's evaluate Jim's total time into this scenario, because I know we can all appreciate we've been through the same thing. At this point, the free consultation cost Jim about 5 hours of his time. This is especially troubling because if you were to ask Jim, he would tell you that his rate is $150 an hour. If we put this in terms of dollars, this translates to a loss of about $750 worth of time. So let me show you a better way. Enter the 15-minute call. This time, Jim is going to apply the client service system approach. And if you don't know the client service system, as I mentioned, go watch the client service system video. That'll give you an overview of how the client service system works. Very important piece of your business. If you don't have this this client service system, you need to have some sort of a client service system, because how else can you know what your metrics are? How can you know what's working and what's not working? This system is designed to help build an ideal business. So first of all, when Jim does his seminar, he's going to offer some free takeaways in his seminar, like freewealthgrade.com and the moneyorganizerplan.com. He wants to show that he can be a resource for those people who want to do things themselves and for people who want some guidance or want some professional help. Then Jim says to his audience, hey, by the way, folks, don't feel like you're on your own after I leave today. I set aside time each week just to help answer questions to folks here in our community. And on my website, there's a link to my calendar. People can schedule a 15-minute call to ask me pointed questions about their finances. And there's no fee. I just ask that we keep it to 15 minutes. So if you have a question and you want to get on my calendar, it's easy. Just go to my website, click on the link where it says schedule a 15-minute call, and that will show you what's available for any given week. Unfortunately, I can only offer a few of these sessions per week, and it is first come, first serve. But if you have a question, you can schedule a call right now from your cell phone or your phone tablet, and I'd be happy to help answer those questions. And then he goes back to his topic at hand. What happens here is he begins to build trust. He's giving an offering of his time. He's not doing a free consultation that's open-ended. People don't like committing to free consultations unless they have a lot of time or they really have a desperate need. But sometimes people just have basic questions, especially about the topic that you have on hand. And if you give them away during the seminar with their phone or with their tablet or their laptop or whatever to go to your website and schedule a 15-minute call, you'd be surprised at how many calendar appointments get filled up that day. He also removes free consultations from his survey cards, but he does add another phrase where it says, check the box here if you would like information on how to get organized with your money. Because Jim is a member of Money Organizer Pro, he offers Money Organizer plans where he charges a fee to help people get organized with their money. And he uses Money Organizer Pro as the software for that. So now in this seminar, Jim receives back 19 evaluations, and 15 of them request information on getting organized with their money. That's about average for people that are doing seminars and have that exact same phrase on their survey cards. And when Jim gets back to his office, he has 7 new appointments on his calendars for 15-minute calls. Now, I've been in financial services for more than 25 years, and I've spent more than half that time studying the behavioral science side, or what we call behavioral finance. And what's happened here is 1 part perspective, 1 part value. The audience actually sees Jim as more valuable and his time as more valuable because it's limited. Also, although Jim doesn't have a whole lot of time available, the time that he does have, he's willing to volunteer and make it available to people in the community. He's created more demand, he's created more value for his time. The calls that he's going to get are going to be more pointed, and people know that because it's a 15-minute call, they're likely to keep it concise and right to the point. There's also a lot more structure to your call, which actually can give more value to people that are in the audience. Also, if I'm the client and I'm scheduling a 15-minute call, I'm going to get right to the point because I know that this is a limited amount of time and your time is very valuable. By offering things like freewealthgrade.com, moneyorganizerplan.com, or wisefy.com, these are all value adds. This gives Jim something of value that he can offer to them without any catch. It's what we call permission marketing. All of these websites are for consumers. We're also trying to help people better their finances. And by the way, if you want to learn more about what those websites do, we'll have other tutorials on those websites at moprouniversity.com. So like all of the steps, the 15-minute call has a certain structure that makes it most effective. This structure will help you improve your productivity, it'll help you increase your efficiencies, and it will help you increase your revenue opportunity. But mostly it's going to help give you a better foundation for the relationship with your client. When a client sets up an appointment with you, you're going to call them at that specified time, at the number that they specified. And as you'll learn in the setup part of this video, which is part 2 of this, you're going to learn that there's 2 key questions that we're going to put on that questionnaire or on that scheduling. And when they answer those 2 questions, it does 2 things. One, gives me some information or some background information, very critical, and help me prepare for that meeting. But it also prompts the client to start thinking about some things before our call, and which is exactly what I want. One of those things is, what's the number one financial matter on your mind? So in the 15-minute call, by knowing that in advance, obviously that gives me quite an advantage, so I know what we're going to be talking about. So the 15-minute call is simply just asking the first question of the RVQ. As I said, you want to identify their emotional attachment to their number one financial matter, and then you want to use that as an opportunity to present possible solutions to them to see how they feel about them. You're not giving a full-blown proposal, you're not committing to anything, you just want to know if there are any objections, and this gives you a nice, soft, easy way to find out if they have any objections to something that you might recommend. So it might go something like this. Hey, Mrs. Prospective Client, you mentioned to me that you were getting a raise and that your number one financial issue is trying to decide whether to put that money from your new raise towards your retirement or towards paying off debt. Pretty common question that happens with people, especially as they're getting into thinking more about their retirement years, but they're kind of planning for tomorrow but paying for yesterday. So Mrs. Klein, something that might be very valuable to you is a money organizer plan. Now, I can't officially recommend it for you because we have a fee of $750 and we never recommend anything that costs you any money unless we're positive that it's the right recommendation. And I'd first need to ask you some more questions, but the reason that this comes to mind is the money organizer plan has the ability to do future projections where I can compare the option of paying off debt versus the option of adding to your retirement, and then we could look at the future projections for each option. The other thing we could do is we could look at a third option where we apply some money to retirement and some money to your savings. Does this sound like something that would be helpful? So if the prospective client says something like, that sounds exactly like what I'm looking for, then say, I think so too. But like I said, I need to ask some more questions, and we're out of time for this call, for this 15-minute call. And I do have another appointment right now, but I can make some time available for you later today. Can you make some time available as well? Keep in mind, they now know that the fee for the money organizer plan is $750, and they said that this sounds great, but you're going to take it away anyway because you really don't have enough information to commit on whether or not the money organizer plan is the ideal solution for them, but you do have some information and you have the client moving in the right direction, and you're not doing it in a manipulative way, you're just doing it in a natural conversation way. Remember, this is about generating more revenue as a byproduct of properly servicing the client. What are we doing? We're pulling out of the client what's most important to them, and then we're helping present some possible solutions. I'm just giving you some structure to your conversation so that you can make it most productive for you. As much as I am for the client service, as much as I am for the client side, being a client advocate, I want to make sure that clients are not paying for services or paying for products that compete with their financial plan. I want them to buy products that complement their financial plan. I also believe we financialpreneurs get abused with our time. Way too much free advice is given away by us. Now, granted, we should donate some of our time to help people in our community, especially those who can't afford our service. But that's donating your time, which means you limit the amount of time that you are actually donating each week. This is a business. You have to run a business, which means that when you're running a business and you're talking about an ideal client can afford to pay you. Otherwise, they're not an ideal client. So I want to make sure that we're servicing the client properly, but I also want to make sure that we're getting paid fairly. What this all does is gives you the opportunity to get paid for helping clients get organized with their money, and you can use the software to do it. People want to get organized with their money. The proof is in the survey cards. You watch. You start doing survey cards in your seminars and you change your language and add get organized with your money as a checkbox, and you remove free evaluations. I promise you, an old-fashioned glazed donut, I'll bet you an old-fashioned glazed donut that you will find more people are going to be interested in getting organized with their money. As far as the fee that you charge for that, that's case by case. You can charge whatever you want for that. The going rate is anywhere between $500 and $1,500 for a plan. Like I said, it's up to you to charge whatever you want. It just depends on what part of the country you're in, or what part of the country your clients live in, and the complexity of their plan. So at this point, you have a foundation to your relationship. The client sees you as a trusted resource. You're offering solutions. You haven't asked for anything. You've been very clear that if you are going to charge a fee, there's no surprises. You're going to let them know, but you're never going to recommend anything that's going to cost them any money unless you're absolutely sure it's the right recommendation. And you're waiting to gather enough information before you make that recommendation. That's the value of the RBQ. By the time you get down to question number 9 of the RBQ, you're all done. You're simply saying to the client, here are the top 3 reasons that we discussed on why a money organizer plan would be beneficial. What I need to know from you is, how serious are you about moving forward now? Or is this something that you're just curious about? Maybe you want to revisit this in 90 days or 6 months. Either one is fine. Today obviously is better, but even if they said, I'm just gathering information, I'd like to revisit this in 90 days, well, now you have permission marketing. You call them back in 90 days. You need those too. You're going to need business in 90 days as well. So again, take the RBQ course and you can learn a lot more about how to be really effective utilizing the RBQ. So far you're finished with the first question of the RBQ. There are 8 more questions, as I mentioned, but even after this first question, you have a good idea of whether or not this is an ideal client based on what you've been asking the client, the follow-up questions and how this call has gone. As I said earlier, if this is not an ideal client, this is your opportunity to dismiss that client. Ideally, you want to send them to an Olympic referral partner. If you don't know what an Olympic referral partner is, if you want to build a 7-figure practice, you're going to need Olympic referral partners. There's a whole course on it. You can take that course. But this is an opportunity for you to not only service your client, but it's also an opportunity for you to build your ORP network or your Olympic referral partner network. So as I said, there are 5 primary benefits to the 15-minute call, and you should have seen all of these in the example that I gave you. 1, it'll improve your efficiency. 2, it'll definitely increase your productivity. 3, it's going to add structure to the client interactions and to your conversations with your clients. 4, it gives you more control of the client experience. It's not so random, and it also gives you more control of the next steps. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client or prospective client, let's set up another time later today where I can complete my questions for you. Because you're going to have to say, we've gotten to the end of our 15 minutes, but I have time later today to finish this call so that you can complete the rest of the RBQ. I do recommend that you do that in the same day. So if you're talking to a client and they have a 3 o'clock appointment, then call them back at 6 o'clock in the evening when they have more time to talk and you have more time to talk. If you say, okay, well, let's just keep on going past the 15 minutes, it might kind of imply that you had more than 15 minutes all along. That might not be good. You should be busy enough that you don't have more time because you should have a 3:15 call, so on and so forth. Okay? This is going to present more opportunities with more ideal prospects that you can convert to ideal clients by using the client service system that I was referring to earlier. So before we get into how to actually set this up, let me cover just a couple more benefits for you. In addition to what I mentioned earlier about the seminar, you actually want to train your existing clients to start using the 15-minute call. You know those phone calls that come in the day where you have to drop everything because your client's sense of urgency all of a sudden becomes your sense of urgency? We want to eliminate that as much as we can. An ideal business is a structured business where you know ahead of time what to expect and you don't have random stuff shooting at you throughout the day. The 15-minute call will allow you to do that. In your monthly email, if you send out to your client either in a newsletter or I have another system that we use in our cultivating phase that for the email system, that is, you want to drive traffic back to your website on purpose. Because traffic to your website, you want your clients to see your website as a resource. By the way, most financial professionals don't have very good websites at all. That's no secret. We use a lot of templates, which isn't always bad if you're utilizing the template, but a lot of them are just kind of thrown up there like a brochure. You're wasting your money because it's probably making you look really dated, and that's not going to be very effective. People are going to research you before they come meet with you, and if your website looks like it was built in the 1990s, or even if it looks like it was built 5 years ago, that's not going to bode very well for you looking like you're current. And I want to have a financial advisor who's current. So there are some other tips, and I'll cover those in other podcasts on the website, on MoPro University, to help those of you out. But you want to start training your existing clients to use your website as a resource. So you want to drop little hints in your newsletters each month, like, hey, here's a calculator that will help you figure out whether or not your mortgage rate is the right rate. You might not do mortgage loans, but you want people seeing you as a resource, and this is all part of it. You should be sending out a piece per month, at least one piece per month, to get in front of people. If you have terrible content, don't send anything out, but that's the whole point is you can create some content by saying, here's a tip, here's an article on my website about this tip, or here's a calculator on my website. You want three things. You want videos, you want articles, and you want calculators on your website. And then in your newsletters or in your monthly email, you just want to have a reason to you address one of those and to drive traffic to your website. But you definitely want to say, have a question, schedule a 15-minute call with me. They need to be seeing that over and over again so that they get this programmed in their mind that in order to get a meeting with you, they need to go on and set it up on the calendar for a 15-minute call, okay? Number 2, you want to train your Olympic referral partners. If you don't know what those are, again, go watch that video. Your Olympic referral partners are sitting across the desk from their clients who they want to refer over to you, and it's much easier if while sitting there they can say, I'll set up a 15-minute call with you with Steve, and he'll call you back, how about this time? And so he's actually setting up that call for you. So you want to train your Olympic referral partners on how to use that. So the third thing is you're probably going to have more appointments than you've had before. You want to have a lot of structure to these appointments. Remember, there's really only one of 3 outcomes. Either you're going to say, I can't help you at all, and you'll dismiss them, or you're going to say to them, I can't help you, but I know who can, and then you can refer them out to an Olympic referral partner. Or option number 2 is you say, this has been a good conversation. I'm sorry that our time is up for this 15-minute call, but I can understand that you have a very important issue and I don't want to leave it here. Let's set up a time. I can make some time for you this afternoon. Can you make some time for me? Or this evening or whatever. Or tomorrow, but you really don't want to go any more than 24 hours from there because the sense of urgency is going to fade off as time goes on, okay? And then the third thing is they have a real need that you might be able to service someday, but their sense of urgency is really low. So you set that for 90 days from now. Rather than chasing them really hard right now, trying to get them to make a decision they're not ready to do and only scaring them away. If you've been in the business a long time, you've done that before, because I've done that before. You want to instead say, this sounds like you have a very important issue, but it sounds like you're still trying to think some things through. If you like, it doesn't sound like you're ready to really move forward with anything right now. Or you can take control and say, I wouldn't recommend that you do anything right now, but why don't we revisit this in 90 days and let's see if at that time that makes more sense. And then you put it on your follow-up calendar and you call them in 90 days. That's what we call permission marketing. So those are one of the 3. Make sure that you have your systems in place. Make sure that you know before you even get on the call, what are the 3 things that are going to happen? I'm either going to do this, this, or this. If you don't do that, then you're going to end up hanging up the phone and you're not going to have clear next instructions. It's going to be, okay, well, why don't you think about it and get back to me? We got to stop doing that. That's really hard to build a business around that kind of a model. Okay, so I promised you that I would show you how to set this up. In the next video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide. In fact, you can just look right over my shoulder. I'm going to show you right online the software that I use, the calendaring system that I use, how I set it up. I'm going to give you the questions that I use to put on the questionnaire that the client's going to fill out when they schedule an appointment with you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that system. So that's all coming up in the next video. So for now, I hope that this gets you one step closer to building an ideal business and living your ideal lifestyle.